on your mobile phone and on all social media platforms. Jambo Radio.
Cameroonian designer. She was behind the Kibonen Nfi clothing brand, which Kenyan Oscar-winning actress Lupita Nyongo wore one or two of her designs to appear on the Ellen DeGeneres TV show and Good Morning America. Both of them flagship programs, TV programs in the United States of America. In April this year, Kibonen went on Facebook Live in an outpour of emotions. She told her Facebook followers she survived coronavirus. This came as a shock to her Facebook followers, as during the global peak of COVID-19, the conspiracy theories within, especially the African diaspora communities, was that coronavirus does not affect Black people. Kibonen, thank you very much for accepting to come on Jambo Radio to share your story. And should I just say to our audience that we are talking to you live from Maryland, yeah, but you're based in New York, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on to share your story. How did you find out you have contracted coronavirus?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on Jambo Radio. I am truly impressed and honored. I am actually one of those people whom when the whole coronavirus thing started, I was in so much denial. I was in so much. I also was actually one of the people propagating that it was a hoax. It was what a way to shut your mouth. I was like, it's a hoax. But I think during that period, what had happened was in the month of January, I had traveled to New York. I was in New York for a couple of weeks. I was at the airport, and I remember on that day when I got to the airport, I saw everybody wearing masks. A lot of Asians coming in. Everybody was wearing masks, and I was actually making fun of it. I was like, "Why are these people always so extra? Like, why are they wearing masks now? What's going on?" So I called one of my friends who lives in China, and I was like, "I'm seeing a lot of your people here, and they're all wearing masks. What's going on?" And he was like, "Oh my God, there's an outbreak. There's a virus. Are you not watching the news?" But at that time, it was not yet on the news in America like that. So that went by. I left the airport, interacted with a couple of people there, and went back into New York City, interacted with people every single day for about 2 weeks. And then when I left New York City, I went to Cameroon. I had a wedding to attend in Cameroon. And during that wedding, there were people from all over the world. It was actually a wedding of one of our top Cameroonian celebrities. So I was there. We had a good time, made new friends. It was beautiful. And I stayed in Cameroon for another week before coming back to the United States. So when I came back to the United States, that same week, I got here like on a Thursday. By Monday, I started feeling a sore throat. And I was like, okay, maybe it's just a sore throat. It's the season anyway. We are changing seasons. And the sore throat was so painful, so painful. And it lasted 2 weeks, which is never the case. Sore throat for me is always like 3-4 days, and I take all the remedies and sprays and all of that, and it goes away. But this one lasted 2 weeks. It was actually troubling for me, but I was like, anyway, it's just a sore throat. At least I know this. And I remember around when the sore throat was ending, that was when there was a shutdown. So I remember it so vividly. There was a shutdown and we had to stay home, because I remember going to groceries to buy groceries, and I was not feeling too good. And I got to the grocery store, every place was packed. Oh my God, I was like, what is going on? So as soon as the sore throat started finishing, I picked up a fever. So when the fever started, I was like, oh, okay, I'm sure it's a malaria since I just came back from Africa. And fortunately, I had brought some malaria pills with me, and I took those pills and nothing happened. On the contrary, I started vomiting and I started feeling dizzy. It was a weird feeling. And I was like, okay, this is not malaria. And interacting with my housemates and all of that, we were all just trying to figure out what was going on. And at that time, the panic about the hospitals was just on another level. It was like, you cannot go to the hospital. Oh my God, when you go get tested, that's when they're going to put the That's when they're going to put the virus into your body. If you go to the hospital, it's a death trap. You're rather safe at home than go to the hospital. You would lose even the little ways you could treat yourself and everything. So going to the hospital was really not an option for me at that time. So what I decided to do was, I was like, okay, you know what? All I have right now is prayer. I know the power of prayer. So I started praying. I just told God in a very informal way. I was like, Father, I don't have a hospital. I don't have a doctor to go to. You're my healer at this time. And I just put down my petitions in prayers. So in between, my housemates, Nigerian, there's this a mama, she's from Nigeria. She just kept giving me anything I complained about. She had a remedy for it. She had a natural herb for it and all of that. So I started taking my natural herbs. I started steaming myself every day, every morning, every evening with concoctions of orange, lemon, ginger, garlic, onion, turmeric. I was doing that religiously every day because I was experiencing pain in my throat. I was having challenges breathing, So I thought there was something there, and the
Oh,
heat.
I think, are we losing her?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I think I can hear you now. We lost you there for a wee while, but it's okay. We lost you for. Let's just go back to when you started feeling those strange pains and you were taking a lot of different remedies, which is just kind of normal things for cough. And then just progress from there. So were you taking that with the belief that it's not corona?
Yes, that's a good question. When I was taking it, for me, I was just clearing up my symptoms. I was just trying to treat the symptoms. I was using Google Doctor, of course, and I was just researching and doing what I was getting. And for me, and even when I just started feeling bad, I called my younger brother who kept insisting I should go do the test. And I was like, I ain't going to do no test. Are you kidding me? Like, are you hearing what is going on here? He called so many other people to try to convince me to go do the test, but I was resolved. I was like, no, I am not doing this test. I do not have the virus. It's impossible. I was even upset. Like, why would you think I'm going to have this virus? Because I had not even mastered the way it was transmitted and all of that. So I was just treating myself on a symptom by symptom basis. And this went on for about 3 weeks. I had no energy. I had, oh my God, I was in pain, my chest, my back, my body, the headache, the fever. It was just unbelievable. Like, it is a kind of thing, like, you can recognize the symptoms, but it is just so much on your body at that time, because your body, you're really panting and really craving for energy. So what happened was, I got to a point where I just did not know what to do. And I started having some strange, very strange symptoms. So I started experiencing like like my body was burning, like there was a radiation on my entire skin. So whenever I put clothes on my body, it hurts. When I lay down, it hurts. When I touch my skin, it hurts. And it was just like fire on my body perpetually. And I was like, okay, this is a weird, this is a weird symptom. I tried to research it. I could not really get much. So I was like, okay, so my flatmate kept telling me, maybe you have COVID-19. And I would get upset and I would even get like, I'll talk back like, no, I can't. So fortunately, my flatmate does a lot of research. So one day he knocks my room and he says, where's your phone? I was actually laying on the floor, helpless. He's like, where's your phone? I'm like, it's right here. He's like, I sent you something. I want you to check. So it was an article from someone who had survived COVID-19 and who was giving his experience and his symptoms. And one of the symptoms he said outrightly was exactly what I was experiencing on my skin. And then he had also sent me the testimony of Chris Cuomo from CNN. And when I was listening to it, it was exactly my experience. And I started crying. And I was like, oh my God, maybe I have COVID-19. This is impossible. So that was when I decided to go get confirmation. I called my doctor and then I got confirmation. I mean, the test was the process, but the results was what actually pained me, because I was called and given this result on the phone. And I was like, isn't this bad? Like, I can't even go collect my, like, am I that already a case or whatever? So That was when I got the confirmation that it was COVID-19, but I was already on the 4th week. So I did not have a lot of those strong symptoms like the fever and all. And I was almost not being tested because my fever was not high at that time, but the high fevers had already passed. So probably this was like the clearing up phases, or the, the last phases of the manifestations of the virus. So that was how it happened. And shoot, by the time I was even, giving it out on Facebook, I was really just like, my birthday was coming up, and I really wanted to be strong. I did not want to spend a birthday in my bed. So I had to work out my mind to be strong, and to be there. And it happened the way it happened. I told my followers, it was such an emotional moment for me. And what actually pained me the most was the fact that my healing was a miracle for me. It was a miracle because,
Yeah, why do you say that?
yeah, because having survived it, and then even knowing at the tail end of it, having beaten most of the symptoms, was a miracle for me. But people could not stand with me on the fact that I could trust, my healing miraculously, supernaturally. And it was a huge comfort. I mean, my Facebook page was like boom, 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 boom for a long time. But that is exactly what happened. And I was so glad that I was given another chance, to live. I really have the feeling I came out a new person. And I challenged myself in a number of ways. And at this time, I'm just so grateful because I know exactly what being unwell is. And I know that healing, your first place to heal is your mind. Once you beat it in your mind, you can beat it physically. I remember I was talking to my doctor, and my doctor told me, you have to fight for your healing. He said, because where we are right now, people get healed, people get prescribed over the counter medication. Some people don't even have the opportunity to see doctors. But when you start fighting it from your mind and telling yourself, you know what, I cannot go down with this situation, it helps you. And you turn around to experience, just look for positive things, because it is something that, to be honest with you, everybody I've spoken to, and it happened to me. I was even having suicidal thoughts. I was having those thoughts of, this is it, I cannot make it. I was having those thoughts of oh my goodness, whew, what is the help I can get right now? So I was having, and I've seen it across a lot of people who survived at that time when they are so helpless, they have suicidal thoughts. So imagine people who are having these thoughts and they are not strong in their spirit. They will give in to because that virus is there to kill. It is not trying to negotiate with you. It is there to kill. So it is a huge battle, but the battle must be won first in your mind.
Wow, this fascinating stuff, Kibonen. I must say, you're really describing it, properly. Now, let me ask you: when you got that result, those results from your doctor, um, did you take any other medication? Were you prescribed any specific thing to take?
Over the counter.
Yes.
It was an over the counter drug.
Right. How was
Pepsid.
it?
Pepsid.
Epsit. Right.
Yeah,
Okay. And did that
which
help?
is like an anti-acid. So I don't even know what the relationship was, but that was what I took. So in my mind, I was just like, I don't know what it did to my body, but it contributed to my healing. So I was it was confusing. I guess because most of my symptoms had gone. So the doctor just had to give me something to, accompany it. But one thing which I did also a lot was I took a lot of black seed oil every day. I took a teaspoon of black seed oil every day. I took vitamin B complex. I upped my dose of vitamin C. I had zinc, which I took every day. So I had to figure out how to boost and build my immune system thoroughly. Besides the ginger, the garlic, and all of that, these things I took literally every day. And I'm still taking them till now because I'm not even giving up. I just still need to be in that atmosphere of fortifying my immune system.
Yeah, that's okay. Now, how did you feel? I know when you came on your Facebook live, there was no way that anybody, any human being, couldn't have felt the pain that you felt, and the way you expressed yourself, and the way you announced this whole thing. But you said something at the beginning of this interview, that you were one of those people who wasn't sure if a black person could be affected by COVID-19. How did you feel after that? Was the outpour on Facebook, was it based on the fact that you made a mistake to have said that before? Were you regretting what you said, or were you feeling that you're just thanking God for your healing?
So at the time, honestly, the theories out there were so much. And I believe that, I mean, I have always been, a lot of people don't know, but I'm very pro-black, and I'm about the truth. You know what I mean? So I don't just go with things at the face value. But the one thing I figured out when this whole thing started was that it was a planned scheme. I did not necessarily think that it was not a virus or just something, but I knew for a fact that it was a planned scheme. And what was in my mind was the wickedness of humanity. Like, how could men be so wicked to create something that would be so damaging to the world? So that was and I was thinking of the number of people dying, the trauma that people are going through, the situations in the hospitals, the nurses, the doctors, the trauma they are going through, seeing dead bodies all over. And I was looking at myself in a place where I was so helpless. I barely had anybody I could interact with. You know, there were times when I could not even get food. People had to buy food from me from Dallas, and I'll pick it up from the door because I was just like unable to do anything for myself. And all of these things, like, that time was a very dark moment for me. It was very dark. But the one thing that I just kept telling myself was, Kibonen, this is what you've been preparing your life for. You know, when you get to that point where you cannot trust the government, you cannot trust the doctor, you cannot trust the media, you cannot trust anything that feels mainstream. Who do you trust? What do you trust? You need to turn to that thing that you can trust, that is eternal, basically. And I just told myself, I'm like, this is what I've been preparing myself for. So I felt like I had the ammunition in my mind, spiritually, to be able to fight what was in front of me. So me expressing myself on that day was a mixture of everything: the darkness of the world, the wickedness out there, the deception, the pain, the hurting, the trauma that everybody was going through. And the fact that, you know, I really felt like we've been living a lie. You know, I really felt betrayed by some of the institutions and things that I had to trust. So that was really what I was expressing on that day.
Given that you didn't go into hospital at all.
I was not admitted.
Okay,
There
right.
was
So
no way I could no, there was no way. And a lot of people told me, even my doctor told me, unless you have severe breathing problems, don't go. Don't let yourself be admitted unless you, and all of my friends, medical people whom I spoke to, nurses, they were like, don't go, don't sleep in the hospital unless you have severe breathing problems, because that's when you would need to get the ventilator and you need a lot of external help. But if you're not, you can walk, you can go back home and treat yourself from there.
Kibonen Nfi, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Is there anything we missed out and not asking you that you would like to share with our people?
You know what? Like, not really. You literally touched everything, because I always get very, like, a lot of people think I'm like super spiritual and all of that. But to be honest with you, if you do not have those foundations solid, the traumas and the challenges of life are going to sweep you away. But once you face those challenges and you know who you are, you know the power that is inside of you, you would be able to beat whatever challenge. It could be health, it could be relationships, it could be anything. Just find time to ground yourself in a strong spiritual foundation, because that is your ammunition. You see, there's one thing we fail to understand: life is spiritual. We are spirit beings in this flesh. So if you do not relate with your spirit being, you will not be able to understand the powers that you have to fight adversity. So that's just the thing I would want to add, and which is very, which is very important to me to tell anybody who listens to me.
Kibonen Nfi, thank you very much for joining us from Maryland. You are a Cameroonian designer, New York based, and you run a Kibonen Nfi clothing brand, which is based in New York. We really appreciate you for sharing your story.
On your mobile phone and on all social media platforms, Jambo Radio.